Hello and welcome to Tech is for Everyone, the podcast series that deep dives into tech professionals' journeys using their experience to get you the best hints and tips to break into the world of tech. Just starting your career or looking to sidestep into a new industry or wanting to climb through the ranks? Tune in and get ready to be inspired. Tune into this episode where I'm joined by Danielle Brocklehurst, Data and BI Manager at Unity Health Group. Danielle and I discuss how she navigates the data industry as a female, how she balances responsibilities as a young manager in the world of data and BI, and the importance of mental health while working from home and how developing a work-life balance is key. And like any other good data podcast should cover, the ethics of AI and using AI responsibly.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So, how about you start by introducing yourself?
So, obviously I'm Danielle. I'm the Data and BI Manager at Unity Health Group. Quite recent into management really. I keep saying recent, but it is nearly a year.
Right.
I still feel like that is very recent.
So the $1 million question then is, what does technology mean to you?
Because I always consider myself not a technical person, which I think when I think that is in terms of like hardware, like people kind of assume in data and in tech that you're just this all-knowing person, but I'm clueless about hardware. Obviously I am technical in the kind of software side of things, but I think tech is similar to kind of what everyone else has said previously, to be honest. It's like a tool that enables people to do things better, but I think especially now like on the rise of AI and robotics and things like that, we really need to be careful. Ethics is super important to make sure that we're obviously using tech for good and not bad things.
Yeah, not letting it take over the world.
Yeah, all the like sci-fi movies.
Well, there's more and more of them, isn't there, with AI nowadays?
Yeah.
And then you hear of stories of them using AI to create movies and change faces and stuff and backgrounds and God knows whatever else. So.
Yeah, it's great. It's super cool, but can be quite scary.
Yeah, cool, but be cautious.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it does enable people to do things faster. So it's kind of, if you use it in the right way, it can be really efficient. But obviously, within reason.
Yeah, I think like as it's getting used more and more, there's going to be more kind of legislation and rules around it. So hopefully that covers that.
Yeah, touch wood.
Yeah.
You were obviously in the world of data. Did you always want to work in data?
No, I feel like if anyone answered yes so far to how they got there. I went to uni and started my undergrad in biomedical science.
Right.
Literally lasted a year and hated biology. I don't know why I did that. And then I got some really good advice from my dad actually. He basically said, stop focusing on like an end career and just pick something that you really find interesting and study that. So I then still didn't study data. I studied psychology.
Right, okay.
And it was in one of my modules, which was kind of called like research and statistics or something like that, that I was like, that this is really cool, I really like data, but I still had no idea what jobs you could do in data, and I googled and then found my master's, which was data science, and also got a job as a data analyst. So in the working world, I went straight into data, but it definitely took me a while to figure out that's where I wanted to be.
Just the statistics part of the degree that you were doing that sort of piqued your interest.
Yeah, basically, I found that bit, like that's the bit I just enjoyed the most. And I got like good grades at it, so I was like, well, I must be alright at it. And then that's when I was like looking at roles and thought, I'm not sure anyone will really take me on with a psychology degree. Nobody could really kind of understand how I got from psychology to wanting like to be a data analyst, and I think it's quite competitive. So that's when I was like, right, I need to get a master's, but luckily enough I also managed to get a part-time role as a data analyst whilst I was studying, so kind of had the best of both worlds, being able to get that experience on the job, work experience, whilst also being able to study like concepts and theory and things. So it ended up
worked out.
It worked out in the end.
There are a lot more, and I speak to obviously, I guess, graduates or people in uni quite a lot, and there are more and more parts of degrees that are technology focused, and we find that a lot, that people have done, I don't know, like or psychology or something else, and actually similar sort of story, they prefer the tech elements of the degree more than the rest of it, and that's why they come to us.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and I think it can be hard historically to understand that link, and I think that's why I definitely did my masters, but it's really quite good to do quite a broad degree, because it's just if you especially don't know what you want to do, because it really can take you in any direction. You can figure out what you like and then kind of just roll with that, instead of like what I was doing, trying to picture this end career that I wanted, and I just felt lost. So definitely some good advice from my dad.
I mean, you think back and you're 18, you're choosing, like you say, what you want to do for the rest of your life almost, and it doesn't always work that way, does it?
Yeah, I think you get put a lot of pressure, gets put on you to make those decisions and kind of have it all figured out, and I think that's when people end up choosing the wrong things or end up feeling lost because it's not what they expected, and then they're like, well, what am I meant to do now? Like, I have no idea. So I definitely think do something you enjoy, and like eventually you'll get there, you'll figure it out.
I mean, like I say, it's good in a way that I guess there are elements of degrees that aren't tech focused that still touch on tech elements, because like you say, if you get to try lots of different bits, it's about finding something that you enjoy that you then can do for the rest of your life, rather than going, well, I'll do this because I think that's what my parents want me to do, or what my friends are doing, or whatever else, and then going, actually I don't enjoy this, I don't want to have to do that for the next 40, 50 years or whatever it might be.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's the one thing about your role currently that you didn't expect?
I think being new into management is just a big change, and I think that's the same probably across any industry. I find it quite difficult at the moment to kind of be a manager, manage and grow the team, whilst obviously doing all the strategic stuff that comes with managing, and then also, because we are a small team at the moment, still being technically hands-on. So I think for me it was just a surprise in how much kind of time and my brain capacity would be at like learning how to be a manager and how to do that. And obviously that is a lot of trial and error, and working with my team to make sure I am kind of managing how they want to be managed, and that it works for both of us. But yeah, that was definitely a little bit of a shock. Hopefully it will get easier. I'm trying to just embrace it and soak as much in as possible. That's kind of one of my main challenges at the moment.
Yeah, it's like anything, I guess, in life. It's like being a new parent. You don't know, there's no kind of formal qualification for it. You've just got to try it out and learn what you're doing. And I think as well, I say to people that come through our academy, it's like you're not going to know everything at the start, so ask questions. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's kind of learn by trial and error almost. And then you learn to do it differently next time if it's not worked out. So anything like that. But particularly management, like you say, when you've got that jump from, I've been doing this for the full week and now what to do, still do that, but also do this as well.
And I think letting things go and delegating. Like, I'm a lot better now than I was like in August last year. But that is also tricky as well, when you've been doing something, you can do it well, and you're having to then like train someone else to do it. And in the short term, you feel like it's taking me so much more time, but obviously in the long term, it's so much more beneficial. And I think you just have to keep looking at the big picture.
Is there like a sort of like common myth, or what sort of common myth do you find with people working in data?
I feel like it's not even a myth anymore, but
Yeah.
when I was doing my like masters and things, obviously you focus a lot on like the technical side, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to learn like obviously coding languages and like do them so smoothly and all this. And when you actually go into industry, it is always the soft skills, like communication is so important. If you're like obviously gathering requirements and delivering projects, there's literally no point you doing that piece of work if you can't communicate it effectively, because that kind of piece around user acceptance is never going to be there. So I think it's not even a myth anymore. Like I said, like everybody talks about soft skills now, and I think just maybe when you're first getting into that, you don't realise how important they are.
Yeah. we spend a lot of time talking about transferable skills, particularly like career change sort of level. If you've been doing a job, you think, well, how can I get into tech? I don't know coding. And it's like, well, it's not just about coding. There's so many different elements to the job.
Yeah.
You know, you might have a school teacher who's dealing with, you know, a group of 35-year-olds. That's 35-year-olds, not 35-year-olds.
Where are we going?
35-year-olds, yeah. You know, that's stakeholder management to a degree. You know, you're dealing with, you know, difficult kids at difficult ages, which can be challenging. You know, you take that into a working environment where you're still dealing with people that might not share your same opinions or want to do faster or differently. And, you know, the transferable elements of the soft skills are what a lot of people do have. And actually they can learn coding, part of it.
Exactly, like you can always learn the hard stuff, the technical skills, you can always learn it and kind of get better at it, and there's always things you're not going to know, like you can't know everything in that. You're always watching YouTube or asking your peers or, you know, Googling, but I definitely think the important stuff is the soft skills.
Yeah, that's great. So you love data, you did data as part of your degree, you got into the world of data, but if you had to do another job that wasn't in data, what would it be?
I don't know, to be honest. I struggled with this question because I think I would still do data, but I would probably maybe go around like down the data science route. I obviously did my masters and like kind of learned those concepts, but I never actually got to put them, like machine learning and things like that. I never got to actually do any of that, and I think that's really cool stuff that people are able to make with like machine learning. So a little pivot.
Yeah.
Still data.
Still data, but just different data.
Yeah, basically.
You just love data all over.
Yeah, I really do. You just see the way it changes organisations and businesses when they use data, when they make data-driven decisions and understand how important data is. And I love like that end result. So I just don't think I would ever want to do anything different.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, obviously it is a different role. You know, obviously data science is very different to, you know, a data engineering role or a data analyst or a data manager role, and it's the same with like, I don't know, like software development. There's you're not just a software developer, are you? It's either, you know, you go and be a full stack software engineer or a front end developer or back end, and then it could be a back end developer with Java or C#, PHP or whatever. So
I
there
guess
are roles within roles.
Like surface level, people are like, oh, you haven't changed, you're still a software developer, but it is like, they're so different.
Yeah.
So, still data, I think.
Do you think you'll get to a point where you get to do the machine learning stuff? Is that kind of future vision strategy on the horizon?
I think, yes. I definitely would love to lead, obviously now being in management, like lead those projects and be involved in them. Whether I actually end up getting to make them, I think is questionable. Not sure whether that's on my path, especially because I haven't done it. So for me, I would have to kind of go back to the beginning. But I would definitely love to be involved in departments that are getting to do that. In my current role, we're just very at the start of our data journey. Like we're just not at that point. We can't be doing those cool things yet.
So no robots taking over your role just yet.
Not yet.
So what's the most important lesson that you've learned then through your career so far?
I think definitely to believe in myself. It can be kind of challenging as like a young female in data, and also obviously being promoted to management still quite young, with lack of experience before, and I do really struggle with like imposter syndrome and putting a lot of pressure on myself to be doing more and be better, and why don't I know that? So I think it's really important that like you know to believe in yourself. And I think I listened to like a podcast episode by, I can't remember what it's called, but it's with Grace Beverley, and she was basically saying like you might not believe in yourself, but you've got to think like you're there for a reason, and anything that you think is a negative can be flipped into a positive. So like a lack of experience you might think is a really negative thing, but you're coming in with fresh perspective, fresh eyes, you're giving like questions that people probably not asked before, and you're learning, so you just have to kind of flip everything into a positive. So that's what I'm really trying to do at the moment, just believe.
Believe in yourself and be positive. I mean, it's like I say, it's like anything I find, you know, most people are sort of faking it till they make it almost.
Yeah, literally.
You know, I think that even about like my parents, for example, like they've never been grandparents before.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're faking that until they make it, you know.
Exactly.
So I think, you know, believe in yourself, back yourself. You've still got the experience and you've got to where you've got for a reason. So,
exactly.
you know, someone else believes in you. So
Something's
why not believe in yourself?
Right somewhere. So like, that's exactly what I'm trying to tell myself when I like come across new challenges and this new kind of step up is I've been put in, like, I've got support internally from the business, so like I just need to keep remembering that and that I'm on the right track.
On the right track, yeah. So in your opinion, what's the most important sort of, I guess, trait or like strength that someone needs to have?
I think as a data and BI manager in a kind of business that's at the start of their data journey, being approachable is like number one for me. Because I am the face of data in that organisation, so if people feel like they can't approach me, I feel like they think they can't approach data and that data's a bit scary if I'm scary. So I try and be as like friendly and helpful as possible, and I really feel like it has helped the business use more data. I think it's just so important. It's a really good skill and like image to put out and portray as data.
And I guess that's where your soft skills come into play, about actually being able to talk to people about what you do and what you can do for them and benefit and things
exactly.
like that.
Especially in like younger businesses, data like this, like I said, like I was the first person, well, the sole person in data and across 3 businesses for the group. So a lot of people weren't working with data, weren't reporting or understanding obviously the capabilities of data. So it's being able to like be approachable and then being able to explain all this stuff in a really non-technical way that doesn't intimidate people. That's really important, I think. And then obviously as an analyst, I think being innovative is really important because, again, I think this is just from my experience in like younger organisations, you're constantly having to problem solve or think of new ideas, think outside the box, and I think if you can't try and come up with ideas yourself, there isn't anywhere else for you to go to, because we're not a big kind of corporate business that has got 10 data analysts and like a CDO and all this kind of structure for you to go to for help. So I think being really innovative and curious are quite good traits as an analyst as well.
Yeah. Do you have like a favourite productivity hack?
I don't know if it's like a hack.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to like guard your mental health. I work remote most of the time and I really struggle with that, like shutting the laptop, because you're not at work, you don't leave the office and go home, there's not that like separate day to evening. And I used to kind of just be like, I'll just finish it, I'll stay on until I finish it, or oh, well, that's really important, I need to do that, I'll just stay on, stay logged on. And obviously it's not productive because then the next day you're not fresh, you're like stressed still, you haven't had that time to shut off. So now I think it's really important that I like close my laptop at 4 and I go to the gym and I like leave the house so that like there's a reason to shut my laptop and log off. And it can be things, you know, just like walk your dog or do some life admin, like dropping something off at the post office, but you just have that reason to be like, my day is done at work now.
Differentiate between work and home life, even though you're working at home.
And I think that's what I used to really struggle with, and now thankfully I'm in quite a good routine with it. But I think that can be hard, and I think there's a lot of remote working in tech, and it's really important that you do kind of keep your evenings to yourself, or whatever your non-working hours are.
I've read an article somewhere and it talks about the idea of decompressing your day on the commute home, and actually how people didn't realise, I guess pre-COVID, just how important that commute was. It wasn't necessarily, of course there were frustrations about, you know, spending half an hour sat in traffic and everything else, but just the differentiator between work, home, and just being able to decompress during that 30 minutes or whatever. So think you're right, and not everyone has the luxury of having even like a separate room to work in. It might be
Yeah.
that you're working in your kitchen or your dining room, and you shut the laptop and you're still in that same space.
Yeah, and I think that can be really damaging if you're not on it. Like from previous experiences, it's not good, and I think now you just have to protect your mental health.
Yeah.
Shut the laptop.
As you say, that kind of, this is the end of my working day, switch off and do it, because we've all done it, haven't we, where it's just like you say, get that little life, just half an hour, you're still going an hour and a half later.
It's never half an hour,
Yeah.
that's what I found, it's never half an hour.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Are there any kind of tools, I guess, that you use in day to day, or just I guess tools generally within the data world that you find are kind of indispensable? Is maybe the wrong word, but more useful.
I mean, I was going to say something really basic, such as like notes.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I love OneNote, and I know it's probably a bit outdated. Not many people use it anymore. I'm one of those people that I will just think, and I find it really hard to switch off and to not think about something. So to be able to just dump my brain every so often onto some sort of electronic notes is really helpful as well. In my role, I get a lot of kind of ad hoc calls, like we need this urgently, and obviously you're not prepared, you don't have your scoping documents ready, you don't have maybe the right application open that way you would normally store this request information, so if you just use notes. Because before I used to just be oh, I'll remember that. Because it's just a random call, that's one action, I'll remember that. Never do, because someone else will call or something else happens, there's another fire to put out. So I definitely think just write everything down, and I really like notes.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I've got tabs on OneNote that are listed and colour coordinated and stuff like that. I do love it. It's you get sometimes I get a random thought at 10:30 when I'm trying to fall asleep. And I'm if I don't go and write that down somewhere, I'm going to still be awake at midnight thinking about it. So I just send it to myself on on email to put into OneNote, or even just write it on OneNote, and then it's kind of off your brain or something.
And you can just leave it there.
That's come back to it.
That's exactly what I think. I wouldn't go to sleep ever.
Yeah. What's the one piece of advice then that you'd give to someone starting out their career?
So I think you already said it. I was going to say, fake it till you make it. It's all about that self-belief, and if you feel with your devs it's a good thing, you're learning, you're challenging yourself, you're developing, and you can kind of own the unknown. If you don't know it, it's okay, and you do just have to put on that confidence and just know that you'll get there eventually. It is really scary kind of starting out, but eventually you'll get there and it will be okay. And everyone starts at that point, right? Whoever is the expert or who is has that expertise now never used to. Everybody always starts at the beginning, so just have to remember that.
So what's the one question that you wish that I'd have asked you?
I do think it's really important to talk about diversity in tech. Obviously it's quite a male dominated industry, and it can be quite intimidating to get into if you're a minority, especially my experience is just as a female. But even from studying, my data science course was very male dominated, and it is intimidating, and you do kind of have to get just used to always kind of being the only woman in the room. I don't tend to notice it so much at the moment, but it is often when you go to an event or something like that, a conference where especially if you're in a small team like myself, where I don't have anyone to take with me, or if it's a women's conference, I am the only woman in my team, so I'm going on my own. It is intimidating to kind of put yourself out there in those situations, but my advice around that is just that LinkedIn is such a good platform to make connections with and join groups and find events and things like that, and especially pages and organisations like Women in Data, they're so important. I went to the conference, the Women in Data conference in March, and it was the best day. The experience was amazing, like the atmosphere was amazing, and it was just like a reminder that like you're not alone as a like women in data, and there was like so many of us and we were all women and it was just so lovely. So I think it's more just like a piece of advice to other women that like they're not alone, and to just like reach out with to other women and other people, and that most people are pretty friendly. It can be scary, but like
particularly up here in Yorkshire.
I
think it's really important. I mean, I think from my point of view, you know, putting a male spin on what you've said is finding your allies as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there are a lot of people out there who want, and that's not just, I guess, me putting a, you know, academy hat on because that's what we're passionate about.
Exactly.
But you know, yes, find, you know, other women in data and the support networks that have been built by women for women, but actually if we can build a great ally network as well to help other people who might not see the benefits at the minute, actually see, you know, just how, you know, powerful a workforce you can create if you think about, you know, different backgrounds, different genders, different, you know, minorities, just what can be built. And, you know, I always talk about diversity of thought. It's not just necessarily diversity from male, female, black, white, you know, whatever it might be. It's different people from different backgrounds bring diversity of thought, and actually then what that can bring to tech projects and everything else is just amazing.
It is crazy, and I think like what you're doing, what we need to do is just do that change for the next generation, and obviously like with the academy and there's other like organisations like that being set up, and it's really important work that's being done to just kind of show people that, and like even this podcast, obviously like everyone can be in tech if they want to be, like it's not a scary kind of place to be. So I think it's all really important.
No, that's great. Well, look, thank you for spending the time and taking the time to chat with me.
Thanks for having me.
Some great tips.
I feel better. I don't feel too nervous now.
Good.
Now it's over.
Thank you for listening to Tech is for Everyone. If you're looking to start your career in tech or want to know more about how our academy can help grow and diversify your teams, then find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, or via the Qualcomm Tech Academy website. Links can be found in the description. Look forward to having you join us on the next episode.